Hi everybody, it's Nikki here and welcome to a bookish video. So, did I say that right? I'll try that again. Hi everybody, it's Nikki here and welcome to a bookish video. And wow, my highlighter is knocking it out of the park. Maybe a little less next time, sweetheart. Okay, so we are here to do my May wrap up. This is where I talk about all the books that I read in May. Now, might have mentioned it once or twice, just did once, but May is a difficult mental health month for me, so I took it easy on myself with Bookgammon, and I only got 4 books in my Bookgammon TBR, and I didn't read them all. Okay, so I didn't start one book, which I showed you in my June Bookgammon video, which was Harrow Lake. I didn't get to that one at all. I just wasn't in the mood for a thriller. Mental health just wasn't wanting to go there for a creepy thriller, so I didn't pick that one up. I did have one DNF from my Bookgammon TBR and I finished 2 books from my Bookgammon TBR, but I did read some other books, some buddy reads and some library books, so all's well that ends well. All in all, let's get on to my bookish stats for May. May was probably the worst reading month I've had since starting to log my reading on Goodreads back in February 2019. So that just goes to show you how little I was reading in May. So the total amount of books that I read in May was 7. 7 books. That is not like me at all. The total number of physical pages that I read was 2,032. The audio hours of books that I own, that I listen to, was 20 hours and 49 minutes. I had 0 hours of audiobook for borrowed books. So I didn't really borrow many books this month. The star ratings, I gave no books 5 stars. Now that could have been because my mental brain just wasn't enjoying anything a lot. I don't know. But I did give 3 4 stars. So I had some good books, just not great books. And that could have been, you know, a mirror of my mentality at the time. I don't know. It could have been affected by my mental health. It's hard to find joy in things when your mental health is low. So please do bear that in mind with these star ratings. I gave 3 books 3 stars, 1 book 2 stars. I gave none 1 stars, but I did DNF 2 books. The genres, I read no thrillers, no surprise. I read no contemporaries. I read 2 classics. Yes, I did. Well, one's a questionable classic, but we'll get to that. 1 middle grade, 1 manga graphic novel. It was a graphic novel, to be fair. No non-fiction, and 3 fantasy, and that just goes to show where my mind was at. I wanted to escape into a fantastical world. I wanted to get away from reality, so I stayed away from the more realistic stories like thrillers and contemporaries and non-fiction, and I just wanted to get my head lost in fantastical, magical worlds. So that is, you know, evident there. The origin of the books that I read, 2 were borrowed and 5 were owned, which is good because I'm always trying to work on my TBR. The format of the books that I read 6 physically and 1 audibly. I read no ebooks. Are we shocked at this point? I don't think I've read an ebook all year. That needs to change in the last 6 months of the year. The binding of the physical books, the binding of the books that I read, 1 was hardback and 6 were paperbacks. And the genders of the authors that I read from, 5 were male and 2 were female. So lots of men last month. So yes. So those were all my stats. So let's talk about the actual books that I read. So let's talk about the DNFs, shall we? So the DNF that was on my Bookgammon TBR was this one. Surprisingly, because it's my girl, Ursula, right there on the cover. So this is Part of Your World, A Twisted Tale from Disney's, and this is written by Liz Braswell. My bookmark is still in there because this is not a one and done kind of DNF. This is a kind of I'm putting you aside for a while kind of DNF. I'm not sure I'm finished with this just yet. I think I need space. We need space. So my problems with this book is the tone of it. I really like the story of this. In Part of Your World, The Twisted Tale, we have Ursula winning against Ariel, and Ariel is sent back down to the ocean without her voice to rule under the sea, and we have Ursula remaining as Vanessa and marrying Prince Eric and becoming the queen of the land, and Ariel believes that her father is dead. And then at the beginning of this story, Ariel discovers that her father may not be dead, and so she has to go back onto land and try and save him and rescue him. She gets her voice back in this one, so we actually see more of her talking in this one, and I do like where the story was going, and I did like what was happening in the story. What I didn't like, as I kind of mentioned, was the tone of the story. There was just some bits that just really rubbed me the wrong way. Like at one point, Ariel gets a little bit miffed at somebody calling her half fish, half human. And she's like, I'm not half human. I'm half God. I was made in the image of Neptune. And it's like, all right, chill. Oh, look, I match the thing. It's my girl Ursula. So yeah, it's just like little bits like that that were just like, all right, okay, moving on. So yeah, it was just some of the bits that were in here rubbing me the wrong way. I didn't really like that, and I was getting a little bit irate reading this at some point. So I needed to take a break from it. We need to go on a break. And I will come back to her when maybe my mental health can accept her being a little bit feisty and a little bit, you know, like that. The other DNF was a graphic novel, and it was this shiny little thing because it comes from the library. So it's that plasticky cover on it. It is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, the graphic novel based on the New York Times bestseller. So based on the novel by Jane Austen and Seth Graham Smith, adapted by Tony Lee, illustrated by Cliff Richards. I'm thinking it's probably not, you know, the singer Cliff Richards, but anyway. So this is Pride and Prejudice with zombies. Now, let's put this into context. I did not like Pride and Prejudice. I thought that adding zombies might make it a bit more interesting. No. I DNF'd this one about halfway through as well. Mainly because of, where is it? This bit, where she's doing a one finger handstand with her legs. Can we see this? Her legs are tied up so that her skirt doesn't fall down and expose herself. Now, when I saw that, I thought, she's going to need to kick herself up to get up there. You need to kick your legs up to get into a handstand for a start off. How is she doing that with her legs tied together? Doesn't make sense. It was like it was taking the mick, and it wasn't my sense of humour. If it was taking the mick, if it is to take the mick, it's not my sense of humour. Kind of taking the mick. So, like, it was just stupid. It was stupid, and I don't like stupid. I like funny, but I don't like stupid. And that's how I felt about that one, and that's why I DNF that. If you like or even love any of these things, please understand this is my own personal opinion based on my own personal preferences. So let's get on to the books that I did read. So let's start off with this graphic novel that I got from the library, and these graphic novels were actually got from the library for my husband, but my husband didn't read them, so I read them. So this is Rivers of London, detective stories by Ben Aaronovitch, I want to say. Now there is a novel of Rivers of London, and it does show me in the back kind of, these are the novels that are out currently, or at the time of the printing of this graphic novel. I believe there's been another one recently, but on the back here there's like a reader's guide of how to read the Rivers of London series, with the graphic novels included. So it actually turns out that this one is number 4, so in the graphic novel series. So kind of skipped around. This one did intrigue me, and I did enjoy this. This is basically about a detective who deals with the supernatural, and he is called in whenever a case has a supernatural element to it, and he helps to solve it. And in the graphic novel, in this particular graphic novel, he's kind of being, I want to say, audited, is that the right word? Where somebody is just going through his cases with him to make sure that everything is as it was reported. So yeah, he's just kind of reminiscing about a couple of cases that he's had. So I really enjoyed it, and it has made me want to pick up the novels. So I'm more interested in picking up Rivers of London now, because it's kind of a mix between a detective novel, so thriller kind of thing, but with a fantastical element, and I think I would really enjoy that. So yeah, I gave that 3 stars. The next book I read was A Vow So Bold and Deadly. Let me just take out, wondered where that had gone. A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Brigid Kemmerer. This is the 3rd and final book in the trilogy, which started with A Curse So Dark and Lonely. A Curse So Dark and Lonely is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. We have a young girl called Harper, and she has a disability, and I can't remember what it is for the life of me, but she has a disability. She lives in modern day, somewhere in America. I can't remember where. I am useless. And anyway, in the first book, she sees a young girl who looks like she's being snatched, and as she goes to save that young girl, it is her who gets snatched instead. However, this is not just any ordinary snatching. She is being snatched to a magical kingdom where a prince called Ren is cursed to keep living the autumn, I think it is, of his 18th year. So he's perpetually 18 years old. and he needs to get someone to fall in love with him, and he's taken to kidnapping women from the modern world to whisk back to the magical kingdom to help him break the curse, because apparently he's used all the women in his kingdom and it hasn't worked with them, so he's looked elsewhere for them. So yeah, it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and then the story continues from there throughout the trilogy. So I can't really tell you what happens in this one, but I can tell you that I was kind of disappointed with this ending. It was not the build-up to a big epic battle in the end that I particularly wanted. What I actually got from this was 4 people with lots of insecurities not talking to each other. Pretty much what it is. Oh, I did my 3 words. Let me go back. Okay, so yeah, so A Vow So Bold and Deadly. Not a good ending, too much stressing, not enough plot. That was what I thought of it. Yeah, just lots of insecurities with each of the main characters, and nobody talking to each other and just saying, hey, this is how I feel. At one point, 2 of the characters, Ren and Harper, do actually talk to each other and go, oh, I didn't realise you felt that way. Oh, well, this was why I was reacting this way, because I thought you felt like this instead. So when they did finally talk to each other, everything was sorted. But yeah, it didn't quite end the way I wanted. I wanted a big build-up, a big battle in the end, and it didn't happen. So I was a little bit disappointed. So I gave it a 3 stars, which is really shocking considering I gave the first 2 books 5 stars, I want to say. They were either a 4 or a 5 star. I know number 2, book 2 was definitely a 5 star. I really enjoyed that one. So this one was kind of like a ending for me. Was not impressed, but book 1 and book 2 are worth reading. Just know that the epic battle, it just wasn't there. Okay, the next book I read was a library book, and this is Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, and I have been wanting to read this for a long time, and I am so glad I did. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this book. So this book is about a young girl called, what was she called? Nona. We'll call her Nona. Nona sounds weird. So Nona is a young girl, and she's taken to a nunnery under questionable sort of situation. And it is because of that questionable situation that she was brought to the nunnery, which really drives this story, because the little Nona is in trouble. She's in deep doo-doo, and she has to kind of try and fight her way through that. So this nunnery is no ordinary nunnery. No. They teach you how to fight here, and I absolutely loved it. In fact, I loved it so much, I've gone out and bought the trilogy. I bought my own copy of Red Sister and Grey Sister, the second book, and I did order the 3rd book, which is Holy Sister, and I ended up getting this book. So yeah, I ordered from World of Books, and they fulfilled the order. But replaced Holy Sister by Mark Lawrence about fighting nuns with this book, which is basically World War supermarket sweep. Not quite the same thing. So yeah, just be careful when you order from World of Books. They make mistakes. I'm still waiting on them getting back to me. So that reminds me, I need to chase that up. So yeah, I love this so much. I went out and bought my own copies. So I did give this 4 stars. I put down trigger warnings of animal cruelty. There was a moment in here I was like, oh, did you have to do that? That was mean. So just be aware of that. That's all I wrote. Trigger warning, animal cruelty scene. That's all I needed to tell you. But I really enjoyed this. I liked the friendships in here. I liked the magic systems in here. And I really liked the dynamic of the teachers. The nuns teaching the children. There's one particular nun who I really liked. She was the poison teacher. Loved her. So yeah, this for me was what I wanted Nevernight by Jay Kristoff to be. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. So I know that Mark Lawrence is a problematic author, and I know some people don't read his books anymore or purchase his books anymore, but I loved it, and yeah, I loved it. So I bought the book secondhand, and I gave that 4 stars. The next book I read was Soulbinder by Sebastian de Castel. This is book 4 in the Spellslinger series. Look at the flippiness. Look at the flippiness. This was such a joy to read because it flops so easily like that. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed my time reading the book. It was such a pleasurable experience when they're like this. I loved them. It does have the sprayed edges as well. I got these from Waterstones. So, what did I put for Soulbinder? Friends parted, allowing new friends to take the forefront. Learn more about the Shadow Black. Yes. So, in Spellslinger, we have Kellen, who is this young boy who, in the first book, he is about to take a big test to show his magic and be accepted into the community. The only problem is he doesn't have any magic, and so he kind of uses tricks instead. But he gets something called the Shadow Black, which you can see this kind of black thing around his eye. And the Shadow Black is seen as something not good in this community, and they will kill you if you have Shadow Black. So he has to kind of run away and try and protect himself. And he meets this squirrel cat called Rikis. Such a funny character. He's sarcastic and kind of, yeah, cruel and mean, but funnily. And he also meets a Argosy who is called Ferius Parfax, and she is helping him to discover more about the Shadow Black. So in this particular book, Rikis and Ferius are not around for particular reasons, which I can't go into because of spoilers. So this kind of opened up the story to allow our main character Kellen to make some new friends, to have new adventures where Ferius and Rikis don't save him. And the thing I like about Spellslinger series is that we have a main character who is literally messing up all the way through. He's making mistakes all the time, but he manages to get through with the support of his friends, Rikis and Ferius. But in this one, because they're not there, he's really having to think and really concentrate and really dig deep to find solutions to his problems instead of relying on his friends. And I like that. I liked that we got some new characters in here. Someone really funny. I found myself laughing a few times. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. and we did learn some more about this Shadow Black, which is, you know, the thing that has set him off on this journey. So I really like that. I don't have book 5 and book 6, so they are going to be new purchases in the next few months so that I can finish off this series. This is the last book in the series that I own, so I will need to pick up book 5 and book 6 at some point so I can continue this wonderful, amazing series. So yeah, highly recommend the Spellslinger series by Sebastian de Castell. But book 4, Soulbinder, I gave 4 stars. The next book I read was my book club pick for the month, and that was The Midnight Guardians by Ross Montgomery. So what did I write about this? There was moments of emotion, good characters, and good mix of real events and fantastical. So this story follows a young boy who, during World War during World War II, he is sent away to live with his aunt in the countryside because of the bombings going on in London at the time. His father has, at the beginning of the story, passed away from an accident, and so it's only him and his sister now that are in the family. But his sister has stayed in London because she's a lot older than him, and she is helping out. So she's kind of like a messenger. So she couriers messengers backwards and forwards and things like that. So she stayed in London, and the young boy has gone to stay with his auntie. However, he's expecting his sister to come for Christmas, and turns out his sister can't make it. So the young boy runs away and runs back to London to try and get to his sister. And he has along with him his imaginary friends from his childhood, which is a tiger, a badger, and a tiny knight. And he also meets another young girl along the way. So I really liked the fantastical elements of this mixed in with the actual World War II sort of parts. Every now and again you would get these little like clippings from like newspapers and stuff. And when I read the back, Ross Montgomery says that some of these events actually did happen during World War II. So some of them he had to make up, but some of them were actual real events. And I really liked that. I liked the historian in me, really liked that. I love history. World Wars, not so much, but you know, it's still history. There was a touch of emotion near the end to do with his father, which brought a lump to my throat, but not so much that it made me physically cry. It sort of caught me as like oh, that's a bit sad, but not enough to bring a tear, shall we say. So I felt like it could have pushed further. It could have really pulled at my heartstrings just a little bit more. Or maybe, as I say, my emotions were a little bit weird and wacko during May anyway, so maybe it was that. I don't know. But I did enjoy it. I don't think it's one I will reread again in the future, so I gave this a 3 stars. And oh, I've missed one. I did miss one. So I want to quickly talk about this one. This was the questionable classic. I call it questionable because I don't know what else to put it into. So this is the Irish Folk and Fairy Tales Volume 3 by Michael Scott. It was just a short book, and it was a bit weird. So my notes say nudity, dark, and not average. So yeah, there was a bit of nudity in here. I didn't appreciate. A bit of incest as well, I think. But these were not like, you know, when you think of Irish folklore, you think leprechauns, happy little leprechauns. But no, there was some dark stories in here, some really dark and quite horrific stories in here. I will say that at some point halfway through I was thinking about DNFing it because I was kind of bored. But I mean, it was only 211 pages and I was about 100 pages through. So I thought, you know what, it's only another 100 pages. So I did finish it. But I won't be keeping it. I did give it a 2 stars in the end because I was bored and I was thinking about DNFing it. So it couldn't get anything more than a 3-star anyway. And then the last book that I read in May was my buddy read with my good friend Charlotte. There is one every month. We do this every month. And we read Charlotte's favourite classic, which was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And I have got to say, I really enjoyed this. I liked the fact that Jane Eyre she wasn't pretty. She wasn't deemed pretty, and she wasn't, you know, all, oh, woe is me, and ah, la-di-da, and she was hard. She was hard-nosed, and she took no crap. I liked that. I just get the feeling that Jane Eyre in her older years would be known as a bit of you know, like a hardened matron, you know, like an old matron kind of woman, you know, one of those that took no crap from anybody and was like, this is how it is, there's no change in that. I liked that although it was a romance story, it was really Jane Eyre that was in control all the time. And I like that she didn't fall for him too easily, and she kept him at bay for quite a long time, and she walked away from him, and I liked that. When she found out about, you know whom, she walked away and she was like, yep, no, we're not having that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I did watch a Netflix adaptation the month prior to reading this, and I listened to this on audiobook, which is how I normally read all my classics. And I thoroughly enjoyed the classic. The reading on this from Scribd, which was narrated by Amanda Root. I really enjoyed that reading. But yeah, I loved it. And I gave it 4 stars. I wouldn't say it's my favourite classic. I'm sorry, it's got a lot to do to live up to Dracula for me. But it was definitely one that I would think about reading again in the future for sure. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you very much to Charlotte for encouraging me to read Jane Eyre for the first time. Thoroughly enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars. So that is all the books that I read in May. Not a lot, and yet I've still managed to waffle for ages. So I do apologise. It was going to be a shorter video, but it turns out not with me. So that is everything. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.